My name is Sarah Mitchell, and 3 years ago, I finally learned a lesson that took me nearly 50 years to understand. Sometimes the people who claim to love you the most are the very people who believe you're supposed to sacrifice everything for them. And sometimes the most powerful thing you'll ever say isn't a speech. It's simply, no. I was 48 years old when this happened, divorced, no children, living alone in a small house outside Columbus, Ohio. I worked as a hospital administrator. Nothing glamorous, just long hours, endless paperwork, and enough responsibility to make sure I was exhausted every night. But I was proud of my life. I paid my own bills, owned my own home, built everything myself. The problem wasn't my job. The problem was my family. Specifically, my parents and my younger brother, Jason. Now, don't get me wrong, I loved my family. At least, I kept trying to. But there comes a point when you realize you're not a daughter anymore. You're a utility, a tool, a servant. And that's exactly what I'd become. For over 20 years, every holiday looked the same. Thanksgiving, I cooked. Christmas, I cooked. Easter, I cooked. Family reunions, I cooked. Birthday parties, I cooked. And after everyone finished eating, I cleaned. Every single time. Nobody asked, they expected, like it was my job, like I had been born specifically to make everyone else's life easier. Meanwhile, Jason got treated like royalty. My younger brother was 45 years old, divorced twice, couldn't keep a job longer than 6 months, always broke, always needing help, yet somehow he was still the golden child. Mom called him her baby. Dad called him a free spirit. I called him exhausting. Every year the pattern repeated itself. Jason would show up, bring nothing, do nothing, eat everything, then leave. And somehow everyone praised him for simply existing. Meanwhile, I'd spend days preparing meals, thousands of dollars over the years, hundreds of hours, and barely hear a thank you. But Christmas 3 years ago was different, because that was the year they finally pushed too far. It started on December 23rd. I was sitting in my office finishing paperwork when my phone rang. Mom. I already knew what was coming. I answered. Hey, Mom. She sounded unusually cheerful. Honey, we've got wonderful news. I immediately became suspicious. Whenever my mother said wonderful news, it usually meant terrible news for me. What happened? Jason's bringing friends for Christmas. I frowned. How many friends? There was a pause. Then she laughed. 27! I nearly dropped my phone. 27? Isn't that exciting? Exciting wasn't the word I would have used. Terrifying was closer. Mom, where exactly are 27 people supposed to fit? Oh, they'll fit. Then she added casually, and you'll handle the food. I stared at my desk. Surely I had heard wrong. What? You'll cook. Like it was obvious, like it wasn't even a question. Mom, Christmas is in 2 days. Exactly. I haven't planned for 30 people. You always figure it out. That sentence hit me harder than she realized. You always figure it out. Not thank you, not please, not would you mind. You always figure it out. Because in their minds, I wasn't a person. I was a solution, a machine, someone who existed to clean up everyone else's mess. I took a deep breath. Mom, I have work. So? So I don't have time to prepare for 30 people. Silence. Then her voice changed, that familiar tone, the guilt tone. Sarah, it's Christmas. I closed my eyes. Here we go. When did Christmas become my responsibility? Oh, don't start. Start what? Being difficult. There it was, difficult. The word every family uses when someone finally grows a backbone. Before I could answer, Dad's voice appeared in the background. Then suddenly, he was on the phone. "Sarah?" "Hi, Dad. Your brother's friends are spending Christmas here." "I heard. It's only 27 people." Only 27 people. I almost laughed. Then Dad said something that changed everything. "You've never had a family of your own." I froze. My stomach dropped. He continued, "Your life doesn't matter. Your time doesn't matter. Your career doesn't matter, because you don't have children." I sat there in complete silence, listening to my own father reduce my entire life to a convenient excuse. Then Jason grabbed the phone. "Come on, Sarah." His voice was dripping with arrogance. "It's one meal." One meal? For 30 people? 2 days before Christmas? While working full-time? And then he laughed and said the words that finally broke something inside me. "You've always been the family maid anyway." The family maid. He laughed. Mom laughed. Dad didn't correct him. And suddenly, everything became crystal clear. All those years, all those holidays, all those sacrifices, none of it mattered, because they didn't see me as family. They saw me as labor, free labor. I hung up. No argument, no yelling, no tears, just silence. Then I sat in my office for almost 20 minutes, thinking, remembering. Every holiday, every insult, every dismissal, every moment I'd been taken for granted. And for the first time in my life, I decided I was done, completely done. That night, I went home, opened my laptop, and booked a flight. Destination? Maui. First class, leaving Christmas Eve, returning after New Year's. Total cost? Nearly $6,000. The most irresponsible purchase I'd ever made, and the best decision of my life. The next morning, Mom called, then Dad, then Jason. I ignored every call. Finally, I sent one text, a single sentence. "I won't be cooking Christmas dinner." The response arrived within seconds. "Mom, don't be selfish." "Dad, we're counting on you." "Jason, grow up." I smiled, because for the first time, I wasn't the one behaving like a child. I turned off my phone, finished packing, and headed to the airport. What I didn't know was that Christmas Day would become the most chaotic day my family had ever experienced. And by the time it was over, nothing between us would ever be the same again.
Christmas morning in Maui was beautiful. The ocean was calm, the sky was crystal blue, palm trees swayed gently in the breeze. And for the first time in over 20 years, I wasn't standing in a kitchen before sunrise. I wasn't peeling potatoes. I wasn't cooking a turkey. I wasn't cleaning somebody else's mess. I was sitting on a beach with a cup of coffee, watching the sun rise over the Pacific Ocean. And honestly, it felt incredible. My phone had been off for nearly 24 hours. No stress, no guilt, no demands, just peace. Then, around noon, curiosity got the better of me. I turned my phone on. The screen exploded. 37 missed calls, 48 text messages, voicemails, emails, messages from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. I stared at the screen. Then I opened the first voicemail. It was Mom, and she sounded panicked. "Sarah, call us immediately." The second voicemail was Dad. "Your brother's guests are arriving." The third voicemail was Jason, and he sounded furious. "Where are you?" I couldn't help smiling. Apparently, Christmas wasn't going exactly as planned. I called nobody back. Instead, I ordered lunch and spent the afternoon enjoying Hawaii. But that evening, my cousin Melissa called. Unlike everyone else, Melissa was reasonable, so I answered. The second she heard my voice, she burst laughing. "Oh my God, what happened?" "Everything." I leaned back in my chair. "Tell me." And then she did. Apparently, Jason's 27 guests started arriving around noon. Most of them expected a massive Christmas feast. After all, that's what Jason had promised. Only there was one small problem. No food, no decorations, no prepared meal, no Sarah. According to Melissa, panic started immediately. Mom thought I would show up eventually. Dad thought I was bluffing. Jason thought someone else would handle everything. Nobody had a backup plan, because for decades I had been the backup plan. They didn't realize how much work I actually did until I wasn't there. The turkey wasn't thawed, the side dishes weren't prepared, the desserts didn't exist, the house wasn't ready, nothing was ready. By 3 o'clock, guests were hungry. By 4 o'clock, people were irritated. By 5 o'clock, complete chaos had erupted. Jason started screaming at everyone. Mom started crying. Dad started blaming everybody except himself. And the guests? Many of them simply left. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my phone. Melissa wasn't finished. Apparently, Jason tried ordering catering. Every restaurant was fully booked. Then he tried delivery. Nothing available. Finally, he spent nearly $2,000 ordering whatever food he could find from multiple places. Pizza, sandwiches, fast food, anything. The Christmas feast became a collection of random takeout bags, and people were not impressed. I should have felt guilty, but I didn't, not even a little. Because for once, they were experiencing the consequences of their own choices. The next morning, another surprise arrived. My phone rang. The caller ID made my stomach tighten. Grandma Evelyn, my father's mother, 90 years old, sharp as a tack, and one of the few people in the family I truly respected. I answered immediately. "Good morning, Grandma." There was a long pause. Then she said something I'll never forget. "It's about time." I blinked. What? "It's about time you stopped letting them use you." My eyes widened. For years I thought nobody noticed. Apparently, Grandma had noticed everything. She continued, "Your grandfather would have been proud of you." I felt tears forming instantly. Because Grandpa had been gone for almost 15 years, and he was the only person in the family who ever defended me. Grandma sighed. "Sarah? Yeah? You know why they treat you this way." I swallowed. "No, because you always let them." That truth hit harder than any insult I'd ever received. Because she was right. The problem wasn't just them. The problem was me. I kept rewarding bad behavior. I kept rescuing people who never appreciated it. I kept sacrificing myself, hoping someday they'd finally value me. But people rarely value what they don't have to earn. Grandma spoke again. "Don't go back to the old way." "I won't." "Promise me." "I promise." After we hung up, I sat quietly for a long time, thinking about everything. Thinking about who I had become and who I wanted to become next. When I returned home after New Year's Day, another surprise arrived. An envelope, handwritten, from Grandma. Inside was a letter and a check, $10,000. I immediately called her. "Grandma, I can't accept this." "Yes, you can." "No." "Sarah," her voice grew firm, "that money isn't a gift." "What is it?" "It's reimbursement." I laughed through tears. "For what?" "For 20 years of Christmas dinners." I completely broke down. because nobody had ever acknowledged what I'd done, not once, not until her. A few months later, Grandma passed away peacefully in her sleep at 91 years old. But before she died, she left me one final gift: confidence. The confidence to stop apologizing for having boundaries. The confidence to stop earning love through sacrifice. The confidence to understand something many people learn far too late. Family doesn't mean unlimited access. Family doesn't mean endless forgiveness. Family doesn't mean accepting disrespect. Real family values you, respects you, appreciates you. And when they don't, you're allowed to walk away. Today, it's been 3 years since that Christmas. Jason barely speaks to me. Mom still thinks I overreacted. Dad refuses to discuss it. But something funny happened afterward. Nobody ever asked me to cook Christmas dinner again. Not once. And every Christmas morning, when I pour myself a cup of coffee and enjoy the peace, I think about that flight to Hawaii, the flight that changed everything. Not because it fixed my family, it didn't, but because it finally fixed me. And sometimes that's the greatest gift of all. The end.